Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome back to another painting stream. Glad to be back. And I think, despite my tardiness, everything is working the way it's supposed to. So, should have the dual stream with Twitch and YouTube for whoever wants to use that. So, let's turn that off. Keep this bad boy charging in the background. Okay, alright, so we're getting back into it. So one of these days is finally going to be the day where these brushes are going to be simply too jacked up to continue using and specifically because I keep forgetting to clean them after the session. And I feel so bad. But at the same time, they're really old brushes, and they're really ready to be put out to pasture anyway. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But yeah. It feels like every time there's a little bit less time after I get home to get everything ready. But it's okay, we're not too far behind here. Just need to prep out this palette, squeeze out these dastardly air bubbles. Indulged a little bit and got some palette weights from Game Envy. I've previously just been using some hefty little Allen wrenches, but I got these little things from Game Envy. Just drop them in the corners of the palette, and they are copper, which, you know, is supposed to help avoid bacteria buildup. I started, a while ago, I started using distilled water for the palette, and haven't really had any kind of issues that felt like the threat of mold since I started doing that, so the copper is not as necessary, I don't think. But, peace of mind never hurts. This is a really stubborn bubble. There we go. Alright, well, no particular excitement from last week to this. I really didn't work on anything miniature related. I was mostly printing and assembling a organizer for a board game, Spirit Island. It's a really fun game, but an absurd, frankly, amount of pieces. And so I found online somebody had created an organizer for the game box, and I printed that out and put it together. So nothing new. We're basically continuing right where we left off with the Cerberus Marine from the Grimdark Exchange. exactly where he was. I'm gonna also try today the mounting putty. I think the old sticky tack that I have been using for probably years at this point has basically given up the ghost. It's not going to really grip anymore. So, got a new batch Gorilla Glue mounting putty, and we'll see how this holds up. Comes with these neat pre-divided sections. Although I think most of these are going to be too large for my needs right away. Just one, please. Yeah. Alright, and we'll try to secure him to a base for this. But yeah, hope Bill's week has gone well. Hope you've had time for hobbying and relaxation. I feel like this moment in time, it's especially important to have that work-life balance and take proper care of your mental health. So far, it's pretty secure. He's not really jittering, so that's good. So we'll see just kind of where the job takes us today. My initial feeling is I would like to put some volumes on the yellow on his knees. You know, some reflections where the light is brightening it, and maybe start to put some color from the glow on the back. But part of me feels like this probably could do with some more blending first, so we'll see. I think for now I'm gonna pull just the basic colors for the old boy, which is nice for him because it's very easy. Just white and about 1 million varieties of gray. These bubbles are infiltrating my wet palette again. There's only more with the bubbles. Alright, so some of that classic. I guess this isn't a classic white. Dead white. I don't really use the Citadel Workshop paints anymore, but their naming conventions are very catchy, and I often find myself mixing up my paints with their stuff. So I don't have Corax white, but I think of it that way anyway. Also, why is this knife uncovered? I'm gonna freaking cut myself open. I wonder if that's errant paint or a piece of debris. It's looking like paint. Okay, let's grab some of that gray. We'll go down another level. Excuse me. That might need a little bit more water. I think in the short time that I've been painting this year, the standout lesson so far has been that you can always afford to thin the paints down a little more than you thought. These are still gonna work for me. So I think, let's go ahead and grab the brown that we've been using. Now what's going to be really interesting is going to be mixing the yellow for the Cerberus armor, because none of the yellows that I have really match the color that I want on their own. So I'm gonna have to do some kind of recipe. And I'm not really sure where to start with that. Which one of my yellows to use as a base, what to mix into it. So I will be just making that up as I go. Let's see, I'm gonna pull up a reference though. Alright, relax. So I think this sun yellow is going to be a good start, and then really what I'll need to do is probably just make it a little paler. Not sure what the best approach for that's gonna be. Ooh. I have some, maybe some bone to mix into it, like a bleached bone. Might do the job. I should paint more yellow stuff. I rarely get to use it. Actually, now that I think about it, I think I should be getting an Eldar subscription model in the mail pretty soon. Maybe I'll try and do a yellow scheme for that guy. No, that's already a pretty popular one in their cannons schemes and such. Alright, well, let's get into it here. And part of what I'm thinking is I've sort of blocked out, like, you know, the shape of a searchlight that's settled on him. See if I can get the camera to be a little bit more. There we go. And part of me feels like maybe I should make it a little bigger. Right now it's kind of hard cut off right here in this circle. Maybe I expand it a little bit to catch some more areas. I'm really not sure. I think what I'm going to start with is just a little bit of a touch up some of the areas that we got last time. Some of these parts did not quite get hit as much as the rest. A little bit of mix there. Like maybe we should start a little bit lighter though. Here we go. And it just goes to show that even with just the most basic colors like black and white, if you mix up a recipe, it's good to make a note of it. I've definitely created a different gray than the one that I was using for this mid-tone. So now begins the fun experiment of rediscovering it. I also need to switch this window back. If anybody is tuning into that, I'll be able to see otherwise. Okay. So let's get some more of this white. Okay, so this is much closer. That doesn't feel like it's the same material, so I might not do it in leather. Alright. So, first experiment, let's take some of the sun yellow. One issue, which I've heard is something that comes up with most yellow paints, is that they really struggle to have solid coverage. Ooh, okay, I've contaminated that whole pool. That's fun. So you have to do lots of layers. No, this is really... It's just kind of turned it very tan. Not really what I'm going for. And I feel like mixing with the brown is going to have a very similar result. But let's see. Yeah, because really, brown is just kind of a washed out yellow. It might work for layers though, you know, if we're doing multiple colors. So I'll give it a try. And we'll see what happens. So this is just kind of one-to-one, the leather brown and the sun yellow. And here I feel like the coverage issues with the yellow are actually going to work to my advantage, because it should dry less intense than it looks. And so if it's not quite right, it will be pretty easy to build up towards what we want, and it won't be a really stark difference. But honestly, with one pass, I think that might be the right starting shade there. I'll have to let it dry, and it's definitely gonna require a few layers to lock in. Let's see, while I'm here, I'm going to also fill up hopefully some lighter colors on the damage here on the base. Look at that. Don't want to go too hard there. I think I've decided to do blue for the explosive glow. So that'll be interesting. It's got some issues right over here. I'm not sure if that's just because of the previous paint job or maybe some trouble with the actual model. We'll see. No, it seemed to sort itself out. Ooh, wow, yeah. So as that first layer on the knee pad dries, it's becoming very subtle, which is nice. Means we can build up to it pretty easily. I'm not really sure how I want to approach the sort of more decorative elements, like he's got, 3 knives, 2 of which have exposed hilts. And there's a question as to what the right color is for the, because, these are Spec Ops guys, are not going around super blinged up, even though there is a certain standard amount of bling. If you're a Space Marine, you gotta have something. But he's not gonna be going crazy since he's a stealth-oriented guy. But still, the question will be, how much is the right amount? Feel like just in terms of color, gold is going to be, even though it's loud, it's the better complement for the overall scheme. We might need a little bit. A bit more mixing here. I just keep making new little mix piles. This is what blending does to you. Yeah, so this little space right here, this is going to be one of the darkest parts. It's not catching much light from the front, not catching much from the back. So it should be almost black. We can afford to go in and probably do some of his facial features now too. Let's get a little bit more of this yellow. I think the base brown that I did was this smoky ink, and I think we are going to need to step up from that, which, like yellow, I don't have a lot of options for. What is this? This one's actually called leather brown versus beastly brown, and I think I like the vibe a little bit more, so we'll try that. So it's one of the Army Painter Air colors, so shouldn't need too much thinning. It looks much paler out of the bottle. Oh yeah, I think this will look real good with a couple of layers. Don't want to go too hard on it. something fun for one of these grenades and just make it bright blue. Maybe some kind of chem grenade. And I'm just throwing colors all over the place. Wow, this stuff thins weird. Alright, so this might be a little bit too dark. Might have to go do a lighter pass first for it to show up in a meaningful way. Alright. I like that for this little... I don't know what the term is. It's not exactly a cylinder. It's not really oblong, I don't think. I guess sort of an oval shape for this grenade. It's like a pill. What's the shape of a pill? Just say ovular. Something about that word. It's uncomfortable. Okay, but that's not bad actually. Just right off the bat. And then we'll just do a normal color for the other grenade, like black or metallic. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit of brown base coat on some of these metal parts, like the pommel on the knives, so that I can do some gold later. I've decided on gold. A little ostentatious, but it's just it's a very Space Marine thing to have some loud marker of status, achievement. You've done this well. Here's this giant golden cross for you to stick on your armor. Here's this gold-handled knife for all of your sneakiness. And the guy, rather than put it in his quarters or something, is like, this is such an honor, I'm gonna use it to do even more sneakiness. And when I succeed, in spite of how bright and colorful it is, it's just, me handicap, being unstoppable. Alright, and then maybe on the guard as well. Ooh, that's really tucked in there. And then there's the one over here. Now, if you are unaware or don't follow Grime Time Painting on Instagram, that's been the individual who ran, or is running I should say, the Grimdark Exchange event. There was chapter 2 in the works, so he's collaborating with another artist. I don't know if it's the same artist. So the artist he worked with on this model, what was the account? Cyberbrush 3D is the one who designed this miniature for the. I don't actually know if he designed it for the Grimdark Exchange or how that worked out, but this is kind of the mascot model for it. And chapter 2 is going to have a new model. Like I said, I don't know if it's going to be designed by the same artist or not, but if it runs the same or similar to the first chapter, it's a really great way to get a very unique miniature and get involved in the painting community. So I highly recommend checking out Grime Time Painting and Cyberbrush for that matter, because I've looked at a lot of their designs and they're really awesome. I think most of their stuff is sold as 3D printable files, but I believe it's also available for whatchamacallit, physical purchase, so worth a look. Okay, yeah, the thinness of this yellow is actually really working out, because it's letting the shade below come through and help to do a little bit of the work tempering the shade above. I don't really feel like the handle of this chest knife, this karambit, should be gold though. That seems a little excessive. but I also feel like it should probably be something just kind of standard issue. I might just do black. I don't know. I'm gonna do black and we'll see how it feels. That feels kind of boring to me, but we'll see how it looks with everything else first. For making a final decision. Something that's easy enough to change if we feel like. Yeah, he's only got a few metallic surfaces. It almost feels like this is a good opportunity to try some non-metal metallics. I don't know if I'm confident enough to pull that off just yet. If it was just the knives, but it's also going to be his backpack fins. Decisions. Let's go back here and hit another layer of this light brown on the upper pouch edges. These scabbards have sort of a guard on them as well, so let's go ahead and pick that out. Oh! Nobody said anything, hopefully. I've been somewhat audible. Didn't realize I forgot my microphone. So there it is. It is the boo-boo for this stream. The boo box. Look at the bottom of this thing. Doesn't look like the backside of his bolter got any primer whatsoever. So we're gonna have to fix that. I mean, fortunately, that's not gonna be a focus of the model, you know. I had to turn it over like this to even notice, so not a terribly big deal. just try this nice leather brown for the rest of the scabbards, because I really like the way it looked on. We'll do it the same way as the leather on his straps. So the smoky ink for a base coat, and then the leather brown for a bit of highlights. Trick is gonna be getting in here. I think we just kind of cover everything, and then we'll go back and change any of the raised parts if we need to. Yeah, over the black, it's barely distinguishable as a brown. Just a very slight difference. I think maybe just doing a couple layers might be enough to fix that. Yeah, I think as long as we're covering the base, the primer, okay. Let's see, we can get the bottom. Oops, my bad. The detail on these is so good, like the back of these, the back of these scabbards has like sculpted clasps on the strap. Show where it connects to the belt. So good. Even while they're, you know, they're tactical miniatures, so they're trying to be a little bit less detailed than a normal Space Marine might be, but still got a lot going on. Looks good. There is one loose hair here that I think needs to be evicted. There he is. Now I'm told the approach to doing something like this is to find the offending divergent hair. Let's see if I can get it to show up. I can't really, but it's right here on this outside. Yeah, I think you can kind of see it. Find it and then push it all the way down to the ferrule. Or as close as you can get it. Separated there. And to cut it there. That is what I read on the internet. So we'll see if that works. I don't usually try to do that kind of repair. I did once a long time ago, and my experience was that it just caused the whole brush to split. I did not use that technique, so maybe that's why, but it left an impression, is all I'll say. Alright, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna bring some of these other covered up areas back down from where they are. Just straight up paint on a little bit of shadow in a couple of areas. There we go. Nothing too crazy. Let's go back in with a little bit of this smoky ink. So these pouches here. This leather brown, is that what it is? Do I have two leather browns? I do. So this is the Vallejo one that I've had the longest and used the most. And it also has really funky coverage, like a yellow. It has to be thinned to just the right consistency to go on smooth. A fickle paint. But it's nice when it works. have this week. I'm going to be doing a little bit of experimenting with the setup. Found some resources that may let me comfortably run something other than lo-fi DMCA safe music, because that's one of my least favorite things about this stream is that I can't really listen to any music, because then it will get on stream and Twitch will have to mute it. But I think that there's a way to separate the audio tracks, so one is played live and then the one that's recorded is either not saved or something like that. I don't know. Point being, if it works out, then next week we'll have some regular old playlist music, which I don't know about anybody else, but I will be grateful for. Hi, Pops. I heard you jingle jangling up the stairs. What'd you up to? Yeah. I see you. Where's your girl? Alright, so that is gonna do for bases on the gold stuff. Do a little bit more here since this kind of sticks out. Getting some curling here. Hopefully I can just moisturize that. Fix it. Alright, and then we're gonna go in, put some of this charcoal gray in here. Bolt gun is just going to have a black casing, so I'm not gonna mess around with that. What I am gonna do is a smidge of primer. Boop. Because I can't leave well enough alone. So I'm just gonna come through here real quick and blast everything with some primer. That is enough to satisfy my obsession. Well, the YouTube stream is way behind. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at. Let's try to do some skin. I don't have a whole ton of variety here. So we'll see. With some bronze flesh tone. I also haven't used it in a long time, so it's gonna need a good mix. And then I'm just gonna water it way down. We'll let it pool in the face crevices and stuff. Just to kind of establish the recesses and some basic shading. Alright, so this is bronze flesh tone. Looks alright when it's mixed up properly. I am a little skeptical on how well it's going to work as a base layer though. I feel like this might be more intended as mid-tone stuff. I only have a handful of sort of flesh tone colored paints, and they don't really lend themselves to a ton of variety. So we'll see. Ooh. here. This is one of the trickier. I already am not a fan of doing faces, and there is not a lot of room to work with this guy's face. It's barely peeking out of his little balaclava thing. Really, the approach is just to kind of go in heavy, and then once it's more finished, to fix things up around the edges. I might try to wick some of this away. Yeah, next round that we do these, I'm definitely going to go to the bits box a little bit more and pull some conversion parts out, do something more interesting. So then I've got a skin wash, which I've also rarely used. Frankly, I trust a lot less than the regular skin tones. You know, most of the time, the wash is supposed to be, you know, kind of your liquid magic. It just goes into all your little crevices and puts nice shadows on your minis. Skin wash is not friendly like that, but we'll see. I'm gonna give it a try anyway. Okay, this does work a little bit better when you just kind of go back and wick some of the extra out. Now, on the other hand, I'm definitely going to have to go in with the regular skin tone and really carefully build up some colors. The other thing is I don't think I'm gonna try this with this guy. We'll see. The way that I transpose the Cerberus chapter, or the Cerberus organization, to 40k was really leaning into sort of the Reaper technology that is featured in Mass Effect. Cerberus really wanted to use this alien technology for human benefit, which, you know, it's not unheard of to do things like that in 40k, but it's definitely heresy. You know, some people, like the Ordo Xenos of the Inquisition, can get away with that sort of thing, which would mean, you know, the chapter is not open about this practice, and doesn't deal very much with other people. But you know, there's also unforeseen consequences of using this alien technology, which is that they experience some physiological changes which on a miniature, a great way to represent that would be some detail around the eyes to make them look glowing and like there's something biomechanical going on. But these particular miniatures have such tiny obscure faces that would be really hard to do. So we'll see. Let's see if it is doable. Let's go ahead and get this. Yeah, I think I am just going to commit to using regular metallics for this guy. When it comes time to practice non-metal metallics, something with less focus lighting, it feels like it'll be a little bit easier. But that said, let's grab some metals. We'll definitely be using the black. Shouldn't take much to cover all the parts we need. Pop. I do have several varieties of metallic, gray metallics specifically, so it shouldn't be too difficult to get some sort of lighting gradients on these parts. It feels like maybe too much water. It's interesting. Let's see. Alright, and then step up is going to be some classic gunmetal. Let that chill a second. Give the primer on the back a little bit more time to dry. That was sloppy. There's some sweep up. Let's see if we can hit the... There's this karambit with some gunmetal as well. I think that's what those knives are called, but don't quote me on that. And we'll do some on the blade here. So these two metallics don't really blend together. Can try mixing them a little bit. See if I can get something in the middle. Oh yeah, that's not bad. Not perfect, but it's not bad. Alright, so let's go back to gunmetal. Look at the underside. I'm going to also try doing a little mixing here with these browns. A little darker. So that we're doing something that looks like some of this brown is catching light. It's gonna need to dry before I can do anything else with it. Really not as smooth a transition as I would like. But at the same time, like, should it be? If he's getting hit by a spotlight, shouldn't it be maybe a little harsh? I don't know. I'm sure there's a ton of color and light theory that could inform that idea for me, but I don't have the time to do that kind of research. A little bit more of this here. Alright, now more time. Do that on some of this upper paneling. Okay. And I think I'm going to try and do one more step up on the metallic from gunmetal. Question will be what? We got chrome, silver, I think steel. Is that? There we go, steel. It's kind of been my go-to for something brighter. I don't think I've ever gone all the way up to chrome. Maybe that will work on this, we'll see. Start with a bit of steel though. Easy. Some of this did not get coverage with the previous color. A little bit more over here. And the same back here. It is working as a pretty nice highlight to the gunmetal. Of course, the tricky part is going to be, let me try to do the glow from the explosion, and all this has to be tinted to match that color. That's going to be interesting. But one thing at a time. Probably not going to spill all the way onto the top of the blade. Alright. Let me try and get into some crevices here real quick. Right here, let's try. Alright. And then comes the big one. The gold. I think I'm going to try to mix a little bit of copper into this. Partially because that's the only other metallic I have. And also because just this gold is very bright. And I think if it were brought down a smidge, it might fit the model a little better. Come on. There we go. Alright. It's like a drop, just a smidge. A bit of water. Water is dangerous with metallics. They start to separate real quickly. But a little bit should be okay. The copper immediately and violently overpowered the gold. Try adding 2 more drops here. Yeah, that still reads as kind of gold. I'll give it a try. Wow. Something must have happened with the YouTube stream because it's way behind. That's crazy. It says it's live though. Nah. This is just gonna come out looking like copper. Got one other option. Got a second shade of gold that I haven't really used, so maybe that will do the trick. This doesn't look like it's much darker, if anything. Am I disturbing your naps? Sorry. I'm gonna mix the paints up. This is a very green looking gold. It is quite a bit stronger. These are both Vallejo airbrush metals, and my gold is, I think it's also Vallejo, but oh no, yeah, it is, but it's not one of the airbrush ones. And the airbrush ones are just, I think maybe because of the fluidity, are just much more powerful in color. So it's not bad. It's very muted, which is, I think, a little bit more appropriate for the character of this chapter. I don't know if it would look really good on a whole army. I think a more vibrant gold would pair better with the white. But, you know, they're not really fighting the open kind of guys, so it's a balancing act between what looks better and what is more appropriate to the character of the unit or chapter. Alright, and then also, of course, back here. Ooh, sloppy. There is an opportunity here to try some different shades to reflect the lighting. I don't think I'm going to take it with the gold, since I have so few varieties to play with. Just keep it flat. thought this mid-tone for the round worked pretty nice. So, another pass with that. And there's a couple little claspy things that we can try and put a little dab of gold on. Good middle here. If I can get the edge of this. Yeah, just barely. Ooh, we do gotta get the other side though. What is it, Pupper? Is it about time? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, we've been at it a while, haven't we? And we have made some good progress. Got pretty much all of the actual parts of his armor blocked in with a color and ready for additional shading where needed. I like where the knee has gone. The brightened yellow is working there. I don't know if I'm going to push that any further. We'll see. But yeah, we'll come back next time and hopefully be ready to work on this. I'm sure we'll be working on him next stream if I do any hobbying stuff. Between now and then, it's going to be assembling the gargoyles, so they're ready to go. So count on that. That feels like a plan. So I'll have to do some touching up right here, this back area, but we're in pretty good shape so far. But thank you for tuning in, and hope your week goes well as well as your hobbying, and catch you next time. Till then, this is daftPirate signing off. And hopefully that's doing what it's supposed to do. You need to go outside? Yeah. Alright. Let's go outside. I hurt you. Yeah, I hurt you. Let's go.
Really big or not?